And our motto is very simple since we work with the rental industry. Don't buy shit, just move in, right? Because one device does not make a connected home. So who are we? So I'm going to start over here with Serge, CTO. He is an experienced entrepreneur. He's a great guy. He runs ThinkPDX. And if you haven't met Serge, please do tonight at ThinkPDX, which is an IoT-related meetup. He has a tremendous amount of experience in the IoT space. He also had a startup called Smart Mocha. And he has worked previously at Sharp, GigaOM, as well as others. And then we have Jeremy Steinhauer. He's co-founder and VP of Data Science and Engineering. So he is our secret weapon for our longer-term strategy. I yanked him out of his PhD program at Portland State, focusing on artificial intelligence and machine learning so that he can focus on creating our data models for our longer-term vision and really what we can do with the data that we collect. Then we have Chao Lim, co-founder and chief architect. So he is our secret weapon that enables us to deploy in massive scale. So when you're talking about the real estate industry, you're trying to move volume, as much volume as you can. So what we've done is essentially create a cookie cutter experience that we could replicate over and over again, copy and paste with our technology. And that is essentially Chao's background. He has actually helped many companies in town, such as PayRange and Data Labs, get up and started. Myself personally, so I have about 20 years of experience in the tech community. So my background, I started up in Silicon Valley and essentially helped companies like GM, HP get their first e-commerce sites up together, got into cryptography, joined VeriSign. Then I really got into smartphones, and in 2000 I joined the only smartphone manufacturer out there, Palm, and recently somebody's like, what's Palm? I was like, oh my God. Like, really, what's Palm? Anyways, later on in 2007, I started, it was depressing. In 2007, I started a company, which is now the 7th fastest growing company in Oregon, well in the 8 figures in revenue. We have very interesting clients and products that we work on at Citizen Side. But basically, the overall team is very experienced, very seasoned entrepreneurs, as well as working on products, as well as taking it to market. So what is the problem that we're really trying to solve? So you guys see a lot of the cranes. Everybody's facing so much demand in the multifamily home markets. Millennials don't want to buy homes. They're all renting. So what exactly are we trying to solve? The truth is that real estate developers are actually facing tremendous amount of demand, but the cost of labor and materials has also gone up. Their margins are actually getting squeezed right now. So instead of having them sell the same 4 walls and a roof over and over again and trying to eke out more margins, what we're doing is we're providing a new revenue stream for them. So what does that look like as far as numbers? So if you look at what we're doing, if we just increase the rent by $10 a month per unit in a building that has 250 units, that is about $30,000 increase in rent in a year. But if you actually take that $30,000, that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you take that $30,000 and divide it by the cap rate, then the value of the building actually goes up by $500,000 that year. So what we're trying to do is not necessarily bump small increments of rent or increase profits by small increments. What we're trying to do is increase the value of the building, and the value of the portfolio in its entirety. Because when they go to sell that building will be worth a hell of a lot more than the building that doesn't have this technology installed. So what do we do? How do we do it? So we use existing hardware in a better way. Bottom line, everybody knows this. Smart home automation has been around for 20 years. It's been focused on direct-to-consumer DIY approach. It's nothing new. What we've done is we've made it economical. We finally put it together in a package that makes sense, that's easier and cheaper for real estate developers to adopt and deploy it. We make it so that they can return an investment in 2 to 3 years, and then obviously increase the value of their building as well. So how are we doing this? We've essentially outfitted out every outlet in a home. We outfit out every light switch. We get the thermostat as well and place multi-sensors all through the home as well. So as I mentioned earlier, one device does not make a smart home. Nest does not necessarily make a smart home. 3 devices does not make a smart home. The entirety of a home actually makes a smart home. That captures a lot of information, a lot of data that they can also look at from an operational efficiency for vacant units, for common areas, and actually reduce their operational costs as well. So there's really nothing for the developers to do. Bottom line is all they have to do is essentially sign a contract with us. We ship our materials to the general contractors or the property management companies that installs it during construction or retrofit. And it's super simple also for the residents. What we're trying to do is when they move in, everything works. They go into their app, turn on some smart stories, it just works. So we've tried to capture the out-of-box experience of when you get an Apple iPhone into a smart home. So how are we doing? We're doing great. We are doing really, really well. We have great traction in the market. So we had a quota of 7,000 apartment homes for this year. We've already filled that pipeline, all with incoming demand. We have about 2 to 3 calls a week that come into our office or by email asking us for our technology. And so we've already deployed in Portland. We've deployed in San Francisco. We're going into New York, San Diego, Miami, Chicago, and Reno. And one of the key things that also differentiates our product is the level of energy savings that we could provide. So we have utilities reaching out to us because utilities love what we do. As a byproduct, we save energy, and so right now we're piloting with San Diego Gas and Electric on a demand response program. Me personally, I am part of the technology committee for the National Apartment Association, which represents 9 million members. And I'm also the lead on the subcommittee for smart home automation guidelines. So how the National Apartment Association is going to adopt smart home technology. So it's a little bit of insider trading, but I'm trying to be honest. We get lots of free press. Fortune, Wired, ABC, NBC have all covered us. And we have a working relationship with all the logos that you see here. And we're working on a go-forward plan with them right now, as well as many others. So how big is the opportunity? The market is actually tremendously huge. So Juniper estimates by 2020, a $100 billion market in the smart home industry. By 2018, $71 billion. If you just scale that down to multifamily home market, even with a bottom-up analysis of $10 to $15 increase in rent, we're looking at a $6 billion market for multifamily homes with units of 5 or more. If you're looking at just one partner, one of our partners with 400,000 units, that one partner opportunity gets us $99 million in revenue. What we're looking at for this year, and as I mentioned before, the 7,000 in quota is about 5.1 million right now. So what is the major differentiation? So why isn't Google, Apple, Comcast, which is actually powered by iControl, doing this? Bottom line, the architecture, the technical architecture for how they're going about it is direct-to-consumer, DIY approach. And even if it's professionally installed, they're looking at it at a very different way than we're looking at it. What we're trying to do is make sure that we can deploy in massive scale. So if you've ever tried to install anything or pair anything, you realize how much of a pain it is. One of our patents, provisional patents, is about automatic pairing and provisioning of IoT devices. And that will allow us to essentially stand up tens of thousands of units every month. In one of our homes, we put in 40 devices. That's 40,000 potential devices that we would have to pair in a month's time. We do that all via software. And then also our living profile, our data model, essentially allows us to understand the preferences and settings of residents, which follow them from home to hotel, to home to other potential areas like vacation homes, transportation, you name it. So the bottom line is we also have a property-wide site management tool that actually differentiates us greatly from the Googles, the Apples, the Comcasts of the world, because they do not have a comprehensive tool that lets the property managers or the ownership group manage a property in a site-wide manner. They were not architected or created that way. So our financials reflect our go-to-market strategy of portfolio sales. Right now we're selling building by building, but we're going to be selling to entire portfolio. We only need 64 partners to give us 3,000 of their buildings, units, and that will essentially make it so that we could hit $103 million in revenue by 2019. So that is a very simple sales mechanism to get a large amount of volume, and we're really excited about digitizing physical spaces and what that could bring on in the future. Thank you.
Nice work. Real quick, I just want to introduce Don Long and Joe Monk.
Thank you. Thank you, Pinky. Congratulations on being here. Great
Thank
presentation. So first question, can you talk a little bit more about your traction? You said that you're here in Portland. What does that look like? How many units are you in? What's been the response?
So we're in 100 units at the Grant Park Village on the northeast side. They're still leasing, so I really want you guys to move in and ask for a smart home, because we're actually in 100 units out of 210. We are being asked by them to go back and retrofit that. We're also in discussions with the real estate developers to go and not retrofit the existing buildings they have, but go into all their new buildings and the phase 2 of that building. From the resident perspective, there's proven documentation on ABC that they did. Residents love what we do. They use it mainly for peace of mind when they travel, to make sure that their pets have been fed, things of that nature, or turn on their lights for their pets. Lots of pet-related activities in the rental community. Yeah.
So Greystar is one of the largest multifamily
Yes.
operators. What's your relationship with them, and how's that?
Sure. So Greystar is actually the manager on site for that property. And so what has happened is that they actually found out about us through that capstone property. It went all the way to the national president heads. And right now we're working on a deeper partnership with their ownership group, not the property management group, but the ownership group, and working on a pilot right now with them. So we hope to be in about 3 of their buildings by the end of the year.
Just for the audience, can you clarify what the
What
potential of
Greystar
Greystar could be for you?
Sure. Greystar manages 440,000 units. They have about 15% turnover, so that's closer to 550,000 units that they manage a year. That would be a tremendous opportunity. Them alone could essentially fulfill that $100 million mark by 2019. So they are a great partner, and we're looking forward to engaging with those guys right now.
What would a potential exit look like for your business?
Sure. So several different areas. So we've actually been approached already for open discussions around partnership acquisitions. I've been asked for RFIs as well by major hardware companies coming out of Germany, as well as some telcos here. So we are looking at potential exit opportunities, early exit opportunities, with telcos, electronic manufacturers, and then potentially other kind of digital firms that's in Seattle.
And do you have data on multiples of comparable type firms?
Yeah, it's kind of stupid, ridiculous, so I don't even want to mention it. Smart Things sold for $220 million after a $15 million round. Nest sold for $3.4 billion. Dropcam, and these are one devices. I'm like, one connected device does not make a smart home. And so it's the valuation right now for what we do is really just stupid, ridiculous, that it's not even, I can't even use it as a comp. And so and Revolve was also purchased by Nest as well, undisclosed amount, but it's up there in the hundreds of millions to billions of dollars.
So you mentioned Revolve, and there's
Yes.
a little bit of controversy because they're shutting it down.
Yes.
Yeah, is there, I mean...
So we've thought this
What
through.
happens if your service actually doesn't
We
work?
call it death mode.
Okay.
Right, we call it death mode, and I think there was a lot of controversy around Revolve, essentially shutting it down, meaning that they killed it, they wouldn't let it work at all, which people were relying on for managing their home. And so what we call is called death mode. All of our ed nodes are not proprietary at all to what we do. They're standard Z-Wave, Zigbee. We will be open sourcing some of our technology as well for longer term deployment. But one of the key things is that we will be providing a death mode so that should anything go down, internet go down even, that it can work locally. So right now, if internet goes down, it does work locally. But we are looking at death mode for if we go down, how to open source the whole thing or allow for some level of cloud access to be able to manage it remotely as well. So we are considering death mode.